maverick, subversive, outside the box, improvisational. These are the kinds of words you see when you do any research on Norma Kamali, and they are all justified. When it comes to fashion design, to business leadership, and simply to living in the world, her innovation rate is off the charts. So much of what we take for granted today about women's clothing, she invented. It's sort of like, and I don't say this lightly, it's sort of like she's Steve Jobs of fashion. Creating apparel that functions well, it performs as you need it to perform, it looks amazing, and it doesn't go out of style. Norma has spent 57 years as the designer of her own collections and the owner of her brand, and she is still showing the rest of the world how to embrace the future in a way that is productive, meaningful, and life-affirming. It is my true pleasure to have her with us today. Norma, welcome.
Thank you.
We have a lot to cover today, including your work in AI. But before we get to that, I want to give some people here in the audience. Some of you might not really know a ton about fashion. You're here for other business innovation reasons, but it's important to go over a couple things, and it'll make the AI stuff a little more resonant. And I want to start with swimsuits. For those of you who might not know, the swimsuit that Farrah Fawcett wore in that iconic poster, that now you can conjure it, that red swimsuit, you designed that. I want to just get a little bit into your creative process and understand what was happening in swimsuits at the time, why this was such a big deal, this swimsuit, and what you were seeing.
Well, this is a very unglamorous answer to your question. At the time, I had a shop, and I would use the shop as a lab, and I would make new styles and maybe do 6 of a style and test to see what sold. And Farrah Fawcett was a very good client, and she was a shopper, and she came into the shop at a time I had no idea she was there, and she bought one of my test swimsuits, and I had no idea. And then I decided that I wasn't going to make that swimsuit again because I really hated it. I didn't like the fit, didn't like anything about it, took it out of the shop. No, we're not going to do it. Then I see this poster, and my heart is like, oh my God. So if you have Farrah Fawcett's smile and her body and the whole picture, the swimsuit looks good. But it really was not a good swimsuit. And so when the Smithsonian asked if I could give them permission to have the swimsuit on display, I said, could I ask you a favor? Can I remake it? And they said, absolutely not. So that's the swimsuit story. There was nothing glamorous about that.
There was another swimsuit that Christy Brinkley wore a few years later on the cover of Cosmo, the pole bathing suit that, it was another iconic one. And then in 1985, Whitney Houston wore one on the back cover of the album Whitney Houston, if you remember it, white with the scoop down here and the scoop up there. And this was a style that defined the 80s. This was the 80s, and you created that one. What is it about a swimsuit that is interesting for design? What can you do with a swimsuit?
Well, for me, I wanted to be a painter, and I had years of study of anatomy and life drawing and understanding the human form. And so swimwear was the first category that really exploded for me because it was about the body, it was about movement, it was about the 360-degree look, as you would a piece of sculpture, of the human form with some design around it. So I think that's why swimwear connected so well for me and still does, and active sportswear, all of that is very, very comfortable for me.
There's so much I want to talk about. I'm going to just kind of breeze through things. There are a couple other things that have become just such a part of women's wear today that you pioneered. One of them is a sweats collection in the 1980s. Nobody was wearing athleisure. This was kind of the first time that gray sweats, like Rocky Balboa type gray sweats,
Right.
were, you know, like a fashion staple. Another one is the sleeping bag coat, which was one of like the first modern puffer for fashion, which you can get on eBay now for like $3,000, those originals. And then there's, this one is just, I don't know why I find it amusing, but the Diana dress, which is a one-shoulder ruched dress. If you've gone to a wedding, if you went to a wedding this summer, you probably saw somebody wearing one. I mean, it's just like, you know, everybody wears them because they're flattering. They're ruched like to here, tight, sheath. Am I describing this right? I'm not in fashion. Is it true that you still sell thousands of those a week?
Well, we sell a lot of them, and I will tell you, I did that. So if you're in business for 57 years, you know styles that sell well, and intuitively, maybe this is a good time to do the Diana again. So the Diana has been resurrected 3 or 4 times, and this is the 4th time. So in the last 4 or 5 years, Diana had a comeback, and each time I perfect it. So this Diana has a bodysuit inside of it, so it holds you in, and the draping drapes from the bodysuit, and it's washable, easy, and so it goes to a lot of weddings, very popular at weddings.
How, you know, you still make a version of a sleeping bag coat sometimes too?
Every year. Every year since the first one, which the first one was conceived on a camping trip. I was sleeping in my sleeping bag, thought in the middle of the night, oh, I wish there was a bathroom here, but there isn't. So I took my sleeping bag, ran in the woods, and as I was coming back, I thought, oh, I think I'm gonna make a coat out of this. And I did, and it's the same pattern as the original, and now we've added so many different fabrications and colors. So yes, the sleeping bag coat is not just fashion. The construction of it is NASA theory and practice, where you have an air pocket in between. The heat from your body goes through one side of the coat, the cold from outside goes the other, and it mixes in the air pocket, and it keeps you really, really warm. So it's really a practical piece that you roll up in the summer, store away, you sponge it clean, and people have it for 15 years. So we're having a big promotion, by the way. We just had a meeting, so that's fresh in my head, about we're doing this explosion of great price on some sleeping bag coats. So they do last forever, and they're great. And I still have one from 20 years ago, and it's like a blanket that you love, you know, from childhood. I can't give up my sleeping bag coat.
Norma Kamali is a private company, so I couldn't find this anywhere, but would you be able to tell us what percentage of your business is the legacy designs that are resurrected versus new things, how it breaks down?
It's hard to kind of define that. It's mostly new things, but you know, I'm Norma Kamali, and I'm influenced by her. So there's a thread of, you know, the brand that's sort of in my bloodstream, and I can't kind of separate that. People recognize what I do, but it is new. And I could actually interject AI right here, if you don't mind.
I mean, go ahead.
So one of the things that I wanted to do, I mean, I just had my 80th birthday, and I'm thinking, I love my job. Thank you. Applaud at 100. I'm looking at 100. 100, I'll take the applause. So, so I thought, you know, I love my job. This is the best life. I'm living my dream. How can I ensure that the company can go on? What protection can I do for my staff, for the brand. It should be able to. We have so much in place. So I met a company in Abu Dhabi, a group of scientists who were AI scientists, and they asked me, because they knew I did a line for Walmart, if they could download my brain. And I said, oh, let me think about it. I was like, no way, not downloading my brain. But I understood the premise of what they were asking. So I fortunately met someone who developed a program for me that isolated my IP and protected the brand history, the archive of the brand. And so we've been downloading the archive into this program. And so anybody can be trained to put in a prompt to then generate new Norma Kamali designs only using Norma Kamali history, Norma Kamali archive. So this idea is so beneficial for the brand, but what I've learned is creatively, I am having an incredibly wonderful time where I'm seeing the possibilities of the brand through AI, through me prompting it and taking each of the designs it generates and saying, do this, play with this. Now, I took a course at MIT to learn about it so that I could do it, and it was such an incredible experience. I, of course, was with 150 people from all over the world, and everybody could read everybody else's, answers and reports and results of whatever the conferences were about. And I was like, oh my God, there are engineers here. I hope nobody knows who Norma Kamali is. I don't know what's going on. It took me longer, but I finally got it, and I saw the potential. And the potential is exciting. So for everybody that says it's going to take away your soul, your life, the opportunities, when it comes to passion, ideas, creativity, AI does not have that. I even asked ChatGPT, are you creative? Do you have ideas? And it basically says, if you give me an idea, I can create more ideas. And that's what I'm learning by using AI. There's a lot to fear, but there's so much more new opportunity that we can't not know about. We can't let it go beyond us without being a part of it.
You've always embraced technology early. I mean, people might not know this, and I wasn't fully aware until I looked into it. You were, I think, one of the first fashion lines to create a store on eBay back in 2009. One of the first to launch an iPhone app, also in 2009. You were early to have a website when the internet became a thing.
Yes.
A lot of people hear about these new things and they go, ugh, like, ugh. And you seem to react naturally in the opposite direction. And I'd love to know what that feels like inside when you hear about a technology. What goes through your brain and your heart, and how does that feel?
Well, when I graduated from FIT, my first job interview was really horrific. The universe does these things. The man behind the table said, if you put your portfolio down and turn around for me, and I just cried, ran out, and I said, I don't want to be in fashion. I got a job at Northwest Orient Airlines in the office. I don't know why they hired me. I did not have any skills. I sat behind a UNIVAC computer in the early 60s, and I learned there is something here. And I worked there for 4 years, so I became very comfortable seeing that data and information that had to do with everything that was going on, whether a wheel fell off a plane to arrivals, all of that, like nothing I'd ever known before. That gave me the comfort and the excitement and interest. When I heard I could have my own website, I was like, I know nobody else is, nobody's gonna look at it, but I have to do it. To be able to communicate with the customer, what a joy to be right there with her. So I was lucky that I didn't get that job. I was lucky that I was able to travel for 4 years for $29 round trip to London in the 60s, which then got me back into fashion again.
Huh. Yeah, in the 60s, nobody was using computers for anything outside of what, like Bell Labs or something, where they were building them.
And the airlines were very progressive.
Yeah.
They were what the future was about, the way we look at all of the tech companies today.
Huh. The AI that you're building or have built, is it something you feel is finished, or you're still working on it?
AI is a work in progress. Right. We are in the baby steps of AI, and it's very exciting. It's very exciting.
The archive that you uploaded, you had sold your archive a few years ago, right?
So when I turned 50, I decided that I didn't want possessions anymore, that I didn't need. If I was reading books and not reading them anymore, give them away. And I had warehouses filled with samples, original samples, and I said, this is ridiculous. Other people should have them. So I got rid of everything, and I went minimal. And even today, I stick to that, and it's a very minimal kind of life.
Does that mean that you only partially own the AI?
I own it
Okay.
completely.
Okay.
I own because the information put in there can be any kind of information. So we have lots of photographs, we have lots of patterns and information. So all of that is factual content. The actual samples, we don't need to document the styles.
You have said also that, we all know that AI hallucinates.
I love that.
You love that. Tell us about why you love that.
Well, the problem with that is it's going to disappear because every company that depends on AI is working feverishly to make sure it doesn't make any mistakes or hallucinations. But this is a period in time where I'm taking advantage of that. And when you're doing a design or creating something, and then all of a sudden this other thing appears, and it's interesting because when you put in the prompt, it looks like smoke, and this thing happens, and then out of this fuzz, this image appears, and the image is always a surprise. So if I put in prompts that are confusing, saying I'd like to put a fishtail on this swimsuit with a sleeping bag coat hood, it goes crazy, right? So it takes all these things, and then all of a sudden these images start to come together, and then there's something with 2 arms on the left side and 2 heads going this way. But it's beyond gorgeous in the most sort of art, tech, fashion way. And I have been known to be screaming when I see these. And a lot of fashion designers scream when they see things, but I haven't screamed like this in a long time. And so it is really a joyous experience. And it's a little part of history. But this will disappear and we'll find other things.
Have you yet created actual designs based on things that you have?
Absolutely, absolutely. We've sold some too.
Can you tell us what they were?
Well, we actually so Jessica Biel is gorgeous, and in her new, I think it's a Netflix or one of those shows, she's wearing a dress that has stripe and sheer, and it's sort of a dress to here. And she looks amazing. And I did that dress a few years ago, and it was a big hit. And I thought, I should put that back on the collection, but I need to add other styles. I couldn't think of anything else because I did every version of that dress. So I went to my computer, put in a prompt, and it came out with things that I would have done had I not seen Jessica Biel, because I was so tied to how gorgeous she looked in it, her shoulders, the whole thing. Well, my AI did not see her in it. And so it went and did things that didn't have the coverage here that were really fantastic. So we showed them when we showed the collection, and then the ones we produced, we let people know. This one is Norma now, and this one is Norma and Norma's AI.
Wow.
And nobody cared. Well, because it looked like I did it. I looked at it and I didn't do it now, but I probably would have.
We've talked about your innovation in the designs and then in embracing technology to make them. We haven't yet talked about, and I'd like to briefly, about your innovations in how you sell things and get things to people. And one of the things, another way that you were early was you had a collaboration with Walmart. Walmart early on. Everybody else, Isaac Mizrahi famously had a capsule collection with Target in, I think it was 2003.
Yeah.
And there were other designers that followed with Target. And then you debuted a collection with Walmart, and it was a big deal. Nobody had thought, Walmart was like, what's Walmart?
Right.
Even Target, they had a tiny, a little design, something, but this was like Walmart. How did you come to that decision, and you still sell through?
No.
Not through Walmart anymore, okay.
Well, so I met someone at a meeting, and this guy then got a job running women's clothing, soft goods at Walmart, and he called me and he said, we talked about doing something together. I'm at Walmart now. You have to come to Bentonville. I was like, oh my God, I've never been to Walmart. I don't know. I don't fashion in Walmart. And I said, just get here, just come. So I went to Bentonville. I was blown away. I could not believe how Sam Walton's dream really was profoundly real and so amazing. And so I met with them, they showed me everything. They had an intention to do a collection. I said, you're wrong. I don't think it's gonna work. I'm just looking at it, but there was a picture of a shirt dress at Saks in a newspaper. I tore it out from there. I said, this is what you should do. I don't think I'm for you. It didn't do well. They called me back. They said, you told us you had an idea for a wardrobe. Let's do it. My idea for a wardrobe was really for teachers and parents of public school kids, because I'm a public school graduate. I spent a lot of years volunteering in the public school system. And one of the things that tore my heart out was single moms would not come to see the teachers because they didn't have the right outfit to wear. And I would go to their homes, I would talk to them like, please come. And they'd say, look, I don't have the right clothes. So, and the teachers, I felt, should dignify the position and look amazing in the front of a class for the kids in the class. So I did the collection, and it was a wardrobe of everything that you need in a wardrobe, from a trench coat to a white shirt to a black pair of pants to ballet slippers to a pump to you name it. It was all there. And I can't tell you, I worked with Walmart gave me options of what manufacturers to work with. Because of the sheer numbers of volume, I could get the best manufacturers and get the best quality, and I demanded the same. And then people caught up on it, and on the internet, they were selling so much product, and people were reselling. Everything was $20 and under. people were reselling it for $200, and it turned into like a cottage industry. But I was very proud of it, and then finally Randy Warren-Garden had invited me to do a fashion show for the teachers in Detroit, and they were in the show, and we presented the collection, and I was very proud of it. But I think if I would have stayed with Walmart, I would be Norma Kamali Walmart for the rest of my life. And believe me, I love that company so much for all they do. I would be honored to work with them, but I, of course, have a brand that I have to think about as well.
You are still the main designer of all the Norma Kamali collections, sorry, and you own the business and have not sold a stake. I just can't describe how rare that is to retain creative and financial control of any company, let alone a fashion company, for this many years. Is that something that you, I mean, did you know just from the start, like, I will never sell, or is it just never felt right? What has made you?
Well, my dream was to have a creative life. And I've worked with so many companies, whether in licensings or collaborations in different ways. And I realized when you have a partner, it's not a dream anymore. It's a different kind of relationship. And so there were many times that I would cry myself to sleep, hoping that I could stay open and stay, in business. And, the industry and the economy go like this, so you ride with it. And I am not sure how I figured out how to do this. To be honest, I thought other people should do the business part, but I actually enjoy the business part, and the more I know about the business part, the better I am at doing my job as a designer. So, live in the dream.
Live in the dream.
Not easy every day, but live in the dream.
I'm gonna end on a couple things. I was wondering if you could tell us, all of us here, having had so much experience, if you have any advice for what business people should know about how to build a lasting brand.
Authenticity. You can't lie to anybody. You can't outsmart anybody. The more honest and forthcoming you are, that's the key. The other is, what is your purpose? What are you here for in this lifetime? And if you understand that and really try to figure that out, then you stay on the course you should be on. But when you kind of meander, you take the energy away from where you should be going, and you can get lost. So I think staying true to what that purpose is. For me, it's so clear that my purpose is for women. I wrote a book for women. It is a handbook for women. The purpose of living a healthy lifestyle, looking at all of the most important things in a woman's life, and the purpose for me is to help women with how they can live a purposeful life through my own experience, and I share all I can as every year goes by.
Well, thank you. We're all the better for it. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all for coming.